the immigration predictions of 2024. And actually, there's some real time situation that's happened yesterday. What I hope for, what is on my wish list, is not necessarily what Congress cares about, unfortunately. The two hot topics in Congress right now is about funding for Ukraine, for Israel. It's billions of dollars funneled to them. And I know you taxpayers, don't like that. And so, yeah, regardless if you're conservative or not, I can tell you, I'm not conservative, but I'm fiscally conservative. And I just don't like all that money going over there. So, in general, now let's talk about what happened this past week or so. I just saw to give you some context about the problem that you probably already know about. There was a TikTok I saw from, I think, CBS News, showed there was a long border, metal, steel, I guess steel fencing, pretty freaking high up, but it doesn't go all the way through, of course, right? There was this gap about this wide, and people could just loop around. Kind of wild, right? And so this person, I don't think he was saying he was impersonating to be like customs officer, but he said, sharing it to the reporter that he stood there and tell people like, "Hey, you can't come in," and he was just joking around. He actually helps migrants. He gives water and food. That's very nice of him, but he was just testing it. And yeah, it's as simple as just having a border protection officer there on standby. Say, "Hey, you can't come in," but they don't do that. So it's kind of interesting. But yet they want to spend billions of dollars for the border. So, with that being said, Republicans are always talking about money, give me money for this or that. Give me money for the border. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's not really about the border. That's just a talking point for them, okay? It's very unfortunate. And you would think, oh yeah, because there's a lot of money provided for they'll say here, if passed, the bill would provide 20 billion in funding to bolster and expand border security operations at a time when arrests or illegal crossings of the border hit record highs. They always say that crap. It's like kind of like the stock market sometimes. Record highs, record lows. They always try to dramatize it. Yes, there's a lot of migrants that come in, but they'd always try to dramatize it for the purpose of getting funding. Some of those provisions here are actually helpful. It would also provide funding to hire additional asylum officers. No brainer, that should happen because really, these cases, unfortunately, asylum to get an interview for asylum, it's around average like 4 to 7 years. Now I say 4 years because that's at the time that we file a lawsuit to get your interview. Now, some of y'all think like, why do I have to sue the government to get an interview? Shouldn't that just happen automatically? In the policy manual, I think it says like 180 days. But yeah, that's not reasonable for them. It needs to be reasonable. It's just not practical, I mean, because they don't have enough people working as an asylum officer. And you certainly don't want, I think they thought about having like customs officers or whatnot to handle asylum interviews. Oh my God, you do not want that because they're not trained to do that kind of work. It says here Republicans are sharply divided over the proposal, criticizing even before the bill text was even released beforehand. So that was Sunday, this past Sunday. It's now Thursday. I think, if I can recall here, if I'm not mistaken, it seems to be because of the funding for the Ukraine and Israel. And apparently Taiwan's in there, which I could be a little biased. My family's from Taiwan, but it's getting a bit ridiculous. It's a lot of money going to those countries. And I think that's really the issue. I know there's some dreamers out there, DACA holders, TPS holders asked me before about, do I think they'll be included? It appears that there was a provision. There was supposed to be a pathway, but I don't think there was a direct pathway in that sense for residency. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't see that in there, but I did see about it was going to offer 250,000 more visas for at least the next fiscal year. I don't know if it's going to be continual. It was a proposal to be distributed, not 250,000 per next fiscal year. It was just for over the next 5 years, which is certainly helpful, especially if you have a petition on file. If you're a U.S. citizen, for example, you filed for your sibling, and you're like, holy hell, it's 17 months or 17 years for the next step, waiting for the visa. So, and of course, alleviate the backlog or the visa backlog, especially like the marriage visa cases and of course the other categories, not just marriage based. But yeah, it didn't pass. Let's see, what was the vote end up being? It says Senate Republicans tanked the bill in a key vote Wednesday. That was yesterday, folks. 49 to 50. It didn't make it. So close, but no dice. So that's the real deal. That is recent as of the less than 24 hours ago. So as soon as we find out anything else, we'll definitely keep you updated. But my prediction is something has to pass. Something, okay? And if something's going to pass for the benefit of immigrants or migrants, it has to be before the election. So I anticipate that more and more conversation about this will happen. And it's going to be tied in with funding for the war, for the allies, and then also with border security. So I'm quite surprised that it didn't pass, but maybe it's the dollar amount essentially at the end of the day. I don't think it does not appear that any issue was related to immigration in terms of any kind of pathway or whatnot. Well, I guess that's because no pathway was really offered. It was just more visas. So I'll take a closer look at this because I am interested why the hell it didn't pass. So I'm gonna watch some videos about it because how Congress operates, what they get done or not get done affects us, affects you. So I'll keep you updated.